गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि वो, गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि वो। आराध्य भगवान ब्रजेश तनय तद्धाम वृंदावनम, रम्या काचिदुपासना व्रजवधूवर्गेण तया कल्पिता। श्रीमद्भागवत पुराणमलम् प्रेम पुमार्थो महा, श्री चैतन्य महाप्रभुर्मतैदं नायत्रयाग्रह परः। In the Chaitanya Bhagavat, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur starts his Mangalacharan by offering his obeisances to Gaur Nitai. Vrindavan Das Thakur is none other than the incarnation of Vyasdev. And inspired by Vrindavan Das Thakur, Murari Gupta and Lochan Das, Srila Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami composed the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Ajanulambito bhujo Konokai avadhato Shankirtanai pitaravo Komalayataksho Vishwambharo Dvijavaro Yugadharma Palo Vande Jagata Priya Karo Karunayavtaro Patita Pavana Nitai Gaur Sundar Ki Jai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Gaur Premanande Hari Hari Bo Vandiham Shri Guroho Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Guron Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Pada Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakha Vitamscha Jai 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 Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jai Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Jai Jai Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityananda Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So today, Sunday, the 13th of March, 2022, we will be continuing and serving Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita. Very, very special week. The appearance of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is on this coming Thursday, March the 17th. All are requested to fast until moonrise. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared at the time about 535 years ago in Yogapit, Mayapur, in the house of Jagannath Mishra and Sri Mati Sachi Devi, 535 years ago. And it was during the moonrise. So devotees are requested to fast, and even after moonrise, one should only take Ekadashi Prasadam. That is the proper Gaudiya Vaishnava protocol to observe Madhav Tithi. Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Madhav Tithi Bhakti Janani Jatane Palana Kori. Madhav Tithi is Ekadashi, which is today. It's also a very auspicious day. So it is Madhav Tithi. The appearances of the Supreme Lord, they are also known as Madhav Tithi. So Gaur Purnima is Madhav Tithi. Krishna Janmashtami is Madhav Tithi. So Jatane Palana Kori. With great effort, I will follow these Madhav Tithi, because it gives great pleasure to Sri Krishna when we fast and when we perform some austerities, so that we save some time. We can dedicate more time to Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, etc. Hearing, thinking of Krishna or of his pastimes, etc. So this is the process to please Sri Krishna. That is why it is known as Madhav Tithi. So Thursday evening, we will have a very special program at the Bhaktivedanta Bhagavad group at 6 p.m. same time as today, Eastern time, 5 p.m. Central time, 4 p.m. Mountain time. So please make a note, and we will have some bhajans. I have Subhadra Mataji here today and Rajvidya Prabhu after a long time. Mataji, I don't know what sevas you have at the temple or not, but you're more than welcome to sing one bhajan of Mahaprabhu. We can discuss this after the program. So, Hare Krishna. Now, if you all recollect that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, just a quick synopsis of this particular chapter, which is known as the wonderful conversation or the samvad between Rayaramananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Very, very amazing conversation, which is the summum bonum of pure bhakti, the highest bhakti or the theism, as we can find in this discussion. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was about to leave Jagannath Puri at that time, Sarvamata Acharya had requested Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that when you go to South India, please make sure, please, I request you to meet Ramanand Rai. He is a wonderful devotee and he's the governor of Vidyanagar. So Mahaprabhu, when he went to the southern part of India, after taking darshan of Jiyad Narsingadev, and after ecstatic dancing and kirtan in the temple, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed that night at the temple because it was very late. And next morning, he was in so much ecstasy, just wanting to meet Ramanand Rai, that he did not know in which direction he was going. So this is the symptoms of ecstasy. And when one is so much absorbed in pure devotion, the devotee is absorbed in the Lord's devotion and the Lord is absorbed in the devotee's devotion. So this is the reciprocal the reciprocity that is found between devotee and the Lord, and the Lord and the devotee. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, ye yatha mam prapadyante tamsa tathaiva bhajami ham. As per one's way of worshipping me, I reciprocate accordingly. So this is an amazing verse that is applicable to everybody, whether the person is an atheist or whether one is on the highest platform of Vraj Bhakti. So if an atheist wants to reject God, so Krishna, who is situated in their heart as Paramatma, he makes that happen by making them forget that there is a God and giving them the logic of how to argue that there is no God. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Matta parananya kinchid aschid dhananjaya. And also from me comes intelligence, and from me comes remembrance and forgetfulness. So if somebody wants to forget Krishna, Krishna makes those arrangements. So he will reciprocate like that. Supposing if somebody doesn't want to believe in God, he wants to be a completely an atheistic, agnostic person, so Krishna will reciprocate like that. Krishna will reciprocate by making all those arrangements, starting from within his heart, and then being so much grossly involved in materialistic things through the agency of Maya. But if somebody who is starting to take devotional service, then Krishna is very pleased. And according to the level of the devotee, Krishna starts helping them. He starts reciprocating. So sometimes the devotee, it is found that he wants bhakti, he wants to do some spiritual activities, but at the same time he's attached to family, at the same time he's attached to money, at the same time he's attached to business, at the same time the devotee is attached to, or a person is attached to materialistic things. So Krishna makes those arrangements as well. He gives them the opportunity for spiritual life and also materialistic life, both. And then when the person's desire increases for spiritual life, Krishna even reciprocates more further by the association of pure devotees, by through their books, through their teachings, or the association of devotees following the pure devotees. Ado Shraddha, first we have a little bit faith. Tatha Sadho Sang, then due to that faith we meet sadhus, Vaishnavas. And due to the Vaishnava Sang, there is a change in our lives. What is that change? Bhajana Kriya. With Bhajana Kriya, they will tell us that one should chant the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. One should chant the holy names. One should, Mahaprabhu has recommended 5 things. What are those 5 things? Chanting the holy names, visiting the holy places of Krishna or Mahaprabhu himself, visiting all those holy places, reading the scriptures, and also hearing about the scriptures. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Smaranam, these 3 things are very important, along with Archanam, and also worshipping the deities. One should worship either the deities in the temple or in their own homes. So these 5 things Mahaprabhu has recommended. And as one advances and listens to the devotees and has a level of surrender where they take in Bhajana Kriya, they also take a guru, where they take initiation or diksha through a bona fide guru, not any guru. And then the next thing that happens is the result of Bhajana Kriya is anartha nivritti. Everything that is dirty within our hearts, in our consciousness, that is there since time immemorial. Many births we have taken here in this material world, sometimes as a human being, sometimes in the 8,400,000 species of life. Jalaja Navalakshani Stavram Lakshavimshati Kramarudyani Sankhya Sankhyaha Chaturlakshani Manav. 8,400,000 species of life, we take birth again and again in this material world, simply suffering Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi, birth, death, old age and disease, and so many other calamities come. So when we take the guru will remove those obstacles by giving us Divya Gyan. Divya Gyan, Hriday Prakashito, Chakshudana Dilo Jai, Janme Janme Prabhu Shai, Divya Gyan, Hriday Prakashito, Samsara Davana Lalila Loka, Tranaya Karunya Gana Ganatvam, Praptasya Kalyana Gunar Navasya, Vande Guru Sri Charnaravindam, This material world is like a forest fire, and a forest fire can only be extinguished with the thundering rain that is pouring from those rain laden clouds. And the pure Guru is like that. He can extinguish our suffering of this material world of repeated birth and death, and in between old age and disease, this continuous samsar, or the vicious cycle of appearing again and again, puna puna janam, puna puna maranam, janani jathare shayanam, born in different mothers' wombs, animal, human beings, etc. So, Om Agyan Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master opened my eyes with the torch of spiritual knowledge. I offer my danvats, my pranams, my obeisances unto that spiritual master. So that bhajana kriya, they tell us, and then anartha nivritti, and then comes the real bhakti stage of nishtha. We are fixed up, ruchi, real taste in Krishna bhakti. Then asakti, we are so attached to Krishna bhakti, to Krishna, to the associates of Krishna. So much attachment, just like right now we are attached to our children, we are attached to our grandchildren, but then that attachment will dovetail to purely to Krishna. That is called asakti. And then comes the stage of bhav, wherein even though where in this body we will be revealed what our spiritual body in the spiritual world in Golok Vrindavan is, if we have taken very sincerely to the line of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and his followers, the Rupanugas, the followers of Rupa Goswami, then we will be given entrance into Golok Vrindavan or into Vraj Dham. And at that time, we, even sitting here, we will get a vision, a bhav, where we will see who we are in the service of Radharani. If we are in the line of Mahaprabhu, what is our dress? What is our youth? Youth means the group that we belong to. So that like that, there are 11 different symptoms. What is our residence, under which gopi we will be serving, or under which manjari we will be serving. So like this, what is our service? What is our particular service to Radha Krishna, or particularly to Radhaji? So all these are called Ekadash Bhav, that is revealed. And then when that Ekadash Bhav is revealed, then one is fully absorbed in Krishna Prema. And then again, Prema is further in the Prem Prayojan, the highest of highest. We will be given entrance into the Madhurya Rasa, which is the summum bonum of this conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rayaramananda. So when he next day, when he wakes up early in the morning, and then finally he reaches the Godavari river, at that time Mahaprabhu, seeing the Godavari, thinks of the Jamuna, and he's in ecstasy as if he's in Vrindavan, because he's Nandan Sri Krishna. And there, that's what always, when Mahaprabhu always saw any river, when he was crossing to see Advaita Acharya in Shantipur, when he was crossing the Ganga, he thought it was a Jamuna, and he wanted to jump in it, and jumping in it, he was thinking that he's a Jamuna, and he's sporting with the gopis. And that is how he started rocking the boat. Nityanand Prabhu, Advaita Acharya had to hold him, and they had to even pacify him. Yes, this is the Jamuna, this is the Jamuna. Although Mahaprabhu was in the Mayapur Navadvip Kshetra, near close to Shantipur. So all these symptoms of ecstasy, and when he saw the little forest on the banks of the Godavari, it reminded him of Sri Vrindavan Dham. So this is the consciousness of a devotee. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came as the highest devotee, highest devotion to teach us, and he himself, he gave us this how to become devotees in Vraj Bhakti, and especially in Madhurya Rasa. So he was, and then after taking a bath, he sat down and he started chanting the holy names. At that time, Rayaramananda came. As every evening he used to come, being the governor, he was accompanied by his security guards. He was accompanied by Vedic Brahmins. They were chanting the mantras, and as he was about to offer oblations every evening, like he always did the puja of Godavari river, he suddenly noticed at a distance on the ghat was sitting a very effulgent personality. The physiognomy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as described by Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami is amazing. He is very tall. Ajanu Lambita Bhujo, Vrindavan Das Thakur also in the Mangala Charan that I just sang earlier. Ajanu Lambita Bhujo, the Gaur Nitai, they are so amazing that their hands extend all the way to their knees. Even our Srila Prabhupada's hands extended to his knees. Even Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, the Gurudev of Srila Prabhupada, his hands extended beyond his knees. So these are some of the symptoms of some great personalities. Ajanu Lambita Bhujo Kanakaya Udhato, and their complexion is golden. Kanaka means gold. Sankirtanai Pitaro and Gaur Nitai, what they did, the external reason they came here is they became the founders of the Sankirtan movement, propagating the chanting of the holy names, which is Yuga Dharma. Sankirtanai Pitaro Kamalaya Taksha, with beautiful petal-like, lotus-like eyes. So that is what Rai Namarand also noticed. Beautiful petal-like eyes, tall, very broad chest. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and he was effulgent. He was effulgent. It seemed like because already he was dressed as a sannyasi in the saffron clothes, the effulgence was spreading more than 1,000 and thousands of suns. Naturally being attracted to a sadhu, Rayaramananda went and approached him, and he offered his prostrated obeisances or dandavats. So that is what, so many wonderful things we discussed in this chapter. What is the proper Vaishnava etiquette when we meet senior Vaishnavas, or when we meet somebody who is in a higher ashram than us? And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately picks him up and gives him a tight embrace, both of them. So this is another courtesy that we all can learn, even if we may be superior, socially speaking, maybe as a guru or as a sannyasi or as a leader. But when somebody who is taking guidance from us or is considering us as superior bows down to us, we should not simply go away and not look at them as if they don't exist. A lot of people do that these days. See, Nandan Sri Krishna, in the mood of Sri Radha, immediately picked up and hugged. That is the proper etiquette. That is showering love. This whole movement that we are in the Gaudiya Vaishnava Sampradaya and ISKCON is all about love. It is Prema Dhama Eva Naumi Gaura Sundaram. It is not about, we can all make so many mistakes. We are not perfect. If we are perfect, then we would never be here in this material world. We would be Nitya Siddhas, and we would have never, Maya would have never touched us. But because we have imperfections, we are under the clutches of Maya. But those who are spiritually well situated, then they should be, the symptoms of a Vaishnava, especially somebody who is very superior or known as the Mahabhagavad Vaishnava, is always compassionate to all, always very, very kind and forgiving. Of course, when they're teaching on the Vyasasana or speaking in the position of Guru, then they are like a thunderbolt. But being a thunderbolt and being very, very, very harsh sometimes is only for the benefit of that soul, not for their false ego. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu picks up Ramanand Rai, hugs him, and they go into ecstasy. Ashtasattvik vikars are seen on them. The Brahmanas who are there at a distance, they were shocked to see their master, their governor, who was a great Pandit, who was rolling on the ground along with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, with that sannyasi, with all the different symptoms of romancha, the horripilation, the hairs were standing in a kampan, they were shivering, ashru, taranga, lots of tears were flowing like rivers from their eyes, and their coloration, they became very discolored, they became pale in color, they became like stambas, just like Lord Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra Devi. We find that out of ecstasy of hearing Hari Katha from Mother Rohini about Sri Vrindavan Dham and remembering Vrindavan, they became sort of paralyzed. And that is the same situation that both Rai Ramanand and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they were displaying those symptoms, and the Brahmins were shocked. Obviously, those Brahmins could not understand that because they were not situated on the platform of bhakti. They were situated on the Vedic platform. They were well versed in the Vedic scriptures. But Vedesha Durlabham Adurlabham Atma Bhakto Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. It is impossible to know Krishna by studying the Vedas. Vedesha durlabham, but it is possible to know Krishna by Atma Bhakto, through the relationship of pure love from the heart, which is pure bhakti. Krishna also says, we mentioned that in our past lectures, that bhaktya mam abhijanati. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna mentions that one can only know me by bhakti, not by scholarship. Even Shankaracharya Path says, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Bhaja Govinda, Mudamate, Samprapte, Sahita Kale, Nahi Rakshati Dukkarne. The Mayavadi scholarly disciples of Shankaracharya Path, they were instructed at the end when Shankaracharya Path was leaving his body, worship Govinda, worship Govinda. Do not enter into the flowery language of the Vedas, simply into Sanskrit and grammar and logic, etc. Nyay. At the end, this Sanskrit grammar and your scholarship is not going to save you. Therefore, Bhaja Govinda, Muda Mate, oh you foolish, oh you rascals. Shankaracharya Path called his own disciples, instructed them like that. So the Vedic Brahmins couldn't understand that. Although they were scholarly in the Vedas, they were perfect in their mantras, but they could not. And even the rest of the other, the entourage of Rayaramananda could not understand that. Upon seeing that they were watching, then they both controlled themselves. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu controlled himself, Rayaramananda controlled himself. And then, of course, upon the proper introduction, Mahaprabhu said that, Apni Rayaramananda, are you Rayaramananda? And he said, yes, I am your servant Rayaramananda. And that's how the verbal conversation begins. And Mahaprabhu says that when I was in Puri, Sarvamata requested me to come see you. And then, out of pure humility, Rayaramananda says, oh, I am his servant. And he is so kind to his servant that he had asked a servant like me, I am a Shudra. I am a low class, born in a low class. So out of pure humility. But Rayaramananda is none other than Vishakha Sakhi. Vishakha Sakhi is one of the most Prana Sakhis, along with Lalita Devi, of Radharani's best friends. So much humility is being displayed. Where are we? When I examine myself, when I read these verses or when I speak about them, I know I have a long way to go, and I am seeking the blessings of all the Vaishnavas, seeking the blessings of our Gaudiya Acharyas, that may even Nandan Krishna, when Radharani, Vrishabhanu Nandini, and Vishakha Sakhi, who the whole creation is crazy after, if they can display such wonderful signs of such wonderful Vaishnava etiquette of humility, then this is something for us to learn. Otherwise, why would Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami give all these details? There's a reason behind it. It is for us. So Rayaramananda says that, yes, I am his servant and he always thinks of my well-being. I am a Shudra, being a sannyasi, according to the Vedic social norms, Vedic scriptures, you should not be touching a low-born person like me. So like this, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is so pleased. He says that, and then there's conversation is kind of cut short because one Brahmin invites Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for prasadam, and Mahaprabhu looking, and both of them now they know that they have to leave for the moment. They feel that deep separation, that vipralamba bhava. So that vipralamba bhava, or the separation, is between devotees and Krishna. Vishakha Sakhi is one of the topmost devotees in the Madhurya Rasa. So she is feeling the separation from Nandanandan Krishna and Radharani, because Mahaprabhu is Radha Krishna Ekatanu hai. Sundar Lala, Sachi Dulala. I sang that wonderful. My Guru Maharaj used to sing this so sweetly. We don't know who the author of this Hindi composition is. Sundar Lala, Sachi Dulala, Nachata Shri Hari Kirtaname. Very, very beautiful. The song is like describing the glories of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Bhale Chandana Tilaka Manohar Alaka Shove Kapolaname. So all Mahaprabhu is so beautiful. Everywhere he is anointed with Chandan. And then Shire Chuda Darshi Vale. He had a chuda. Like, he had very long, beautiful hair. But sometimes he used to tie a knot. A wonderful mala, hiya paradole. And there's a beautiful forest flower garland that would, they just call it Vanmali. Even Krishna, when he was in Vrindavan, he always wore the Vanmali. So Vanmala or Vanmali. So this is the flowers made out of the different assorted flowers from the forest that were picked by the gopis. Krishna would wear that garland. Similarly, Hiya Pardole, Hiya means on his chest, because Mahaprabhu would never walk straight. He was always in ecstasy, chanting the holy names, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Or he was dancing in Kirtan. So his Vanamala, his beautiful garland would be swinging. And then Pahirana Pita Patambara Shobhe, and he used to wear a beautiful golden complexion dhoti, or the garment which is known as Pitambar, which is the same that Krishna wears. That is the thing that Mahaprabhu wore, the golden complexion Pitambar, and Nityanand Prabhu wore the blue colored cloth. And then it is said that Nupura Run Junu Charano Me, and he had ankle bells. Mahaprabhu, even when he was grown up, he wore ankle bells. So whenever he danced, especially in Srivasangan, it was such a musical treatise it was to the ears of all the devotees, along with the mridanga and the kartal. And a Nupura Runajuna, 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 the twinkling of the ankle bells, Runajuna, like this, Radha Krishna Ekatanu hai, Nidhuvana Maje Vamshi Bajaye. Radha Krishna is now combined into one, and they are actually sporting in Nidhuvan. Nidhuvan is one of the most amorous pastimes that happen in Nidhuvan at night, after midnight till early morning, where the Shringar Ras and so many other amorous pastimes happen between Radha Krishna and the gopis in the amorous love, or in the Madhurya Rasha. So like that is why the famous verse of the deities of Gopinath, Shriman Rasa Rasarambi Vamshi Vatastitaha, Vamshi Vat, again, Radha Krishna Ekatanu hai, Nidhuvan me Vamshi Bajaye. So Nidhuvan, Vamshi Vat, they're all the same area. At that time, at night, at different places, they perform their wonderful pastimes. So they feel the separation already. But Mahaprabhu says that I will come back, see you tomorrow, and see you alone. And I will see you alone. So now it is mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, what is the reason for meeting alone in a secluded place? So none of your security guards, none of your Brahmins, none of your other ministers, nobody. So even Srila Prabhupada mentions in the purport that whenever there is a Rashik Katha, something that is of high standard, then there should be qualified persons who should be there. Otherwise, either they will commit offenses or they will not be interested. Sometimes sometimes we find that there is some very nice katha going on, very deep, with a lot of nectar, but people are so much interested in looking at the clock when they will serve prasadam. Well, they will serve prasadam, and by the time even the person has got up from the Vyasasan, most of the people, they run to join the line for prasadam. That is not proper etiquette. That is not Vaishnava etiquette. The person on the Vyasasan is still speaking. There is some austerity. One should because austerity is something that Krishna, that will help us control our senses. If we take prasadam 5 minutes, 10 minutes later, we are not going to faint, or we are not going to die. So the thing is that most people in this world, they are not interested. That is the reason even Srila Prabhupada said that most people who are speaking Bhagavatam 7 days Saptah, all these things have become so professional. It is just for the sake of money, and it never enters the core heart, the message of Srimad, the pure message of Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavata Purana Amalam Prema Pumartho Mahan. It gives us the highest prema. But most people are not interested to obtain Krishna prema. They listen to Bhagavatam because it has become a ritual. They listen to Bhagavatam because they have heard that it will drive away inauspiciousness. It will drive away ghosts and spirits. They do all these reasons. It will bring them some material benefit. So it is Mishra with mixed emotions that day. But that is not what Mahaprabhu's line is about. That is not what our Gaudiya Vaishnava line is about. We have to first understand who Mahaprabhu is. We have to first understand who the followers of Mahaprabhu are. We have to understand what Gauravani is. If we don't understand Gauravani, then we have missed a lot of, then we might as well. We even after at the time of death, we are able to chant Hare Krishna. That is not guaranteed that we will go back to Golok Vrindavan. Yes, I've mentioned this many times in my lectures. Srila Prabhupada has said that if you follow the four regulative principles and if you can remember Krishna at the time of that, you will go home back to Godhead. Perfect. There's no question that Prabhupada's statement has any issues. He is a perfect personality. He will make the perfect statement. But if we deeply analyze, back to Godhead means it could be any part of Vaikuntha. It could be so many different parts. You can enter the Ayodhya of Lord Ramachandra. One can enter into the planet of Vamandev. One can enter into the different planets of Lord Narayana. And so many incarnations of the Lord have their own planets in Vaikuntha Loka. Even possibly we can even enter with some Krishna Bhakti of Bhagavad Gita, those who are studying Bhagavad Gita regularly, then we can enter into Mathura and Dwarka, but not Golok Vrindavan. Because Bhagavad Gita does not give Prema Pumartho Maha. It gives us the foundation. Just like somebody who is a double doctorate or a cardiologist or a quantum physicist, they already know their ABCs that they've learned in the kindergarten. So up to the 10th grade, 12th grade, or up to the 14 grades of school and college combined, the fundamentals are being taught, the foundation. But after that foundation is finished, then the speciality begins. So our specialty is Vraj Bhakti in Gopi Bhav, in Madhurya Rasa. So if we are in ISKCON or in the Gaudiya Math, and if we miss that, then we will be somehow or the other, by mercy, if we are still chanting at the time of death Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it does not necessarily transport us to Golok. Because Hare Krishna, I mentioned this, I don't really have the time to go into those details now, because when I did the Chaitanya Sistastakam, in the second verse, I think 5 weeks, I described that what that Hare Krishna Mahamantra means and what is the consciousness. Because the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is not necessary, that was an invention about 500 years ago. In the Kali Shantaran Upanishad, there was a conversation between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Lord Brahma, between Naradji and Lord Brahma. Between Naradji and Lord Brahma, in some Satya Yuga, which we cannot even put a time, not even millions or billions of years ago, they've talked about the Shodadosha Aksharam, the Mahamantra, the 16-lettered word, that will be the that will deliver everyone. So even the Ramanujacharyas or the Sri Sampradaya or the Rudra Sampradayas and all the other Vaishnava Sampradayas, they chant the Mahamantra. But what is their consciousness? When they say chant Hare, their consciousness could be Lakshmi Devi. Because Mahaprabhu, that is why, see, I have mentioned this many times. This is such a perfect Mahamantra that it is applicable to all types of devotees in all kinds of consciousness. Please try to understand. Maybe I will touch upon this one more time again. That way we can kind of understand the gravity here. That's why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in the second verse, Nam Nam Akari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis. All my internal potencies are present in the holy names. So are we saying that the internal potencies are only present in Golok? No. Internal potencies are present in Dwarka in the form of Rukmini, Satyabhama, and the 16,808 queens, and so many other devotees in Dwarka, including the parental devotees, because those are energies, internal potencies of Krishna. It is not necessary that internal potencies really means, depending on the guy, it means devotees who are attached to Sri Krishna in his pastimes. So that could be even the word Hare can also mean the cowherd friends of Krishna. It can even mean the internal potencies or the Siddha souls, the Nitya Siddha souls, or the eternally perfected souls who are existing in Vaikuntha. So they are also the energies of Sri Krishna, Nija Sarva Shaktis. So we have to understand Sarva Shaktis. They are the potencies of Sri Krishna. So depending on what our consciousness is when we are chanting the word Hara or Hare. And Krishna, the word Krishna in Sanskrit means all attractive. So for the devotees in Vaikuntha, the all attractive Lord is Lord Ramachandra or Lord Vishnu or Lord or different Lord Nrsingadev or Lord the different types of Lord Narayanas, because they are also very beautiful and attractive. Of course, the most beautiful is Sri Krishna. But Krishna, the word actually per se means Krish, means attraction, Na means to attract all. So all kinds of personalities are being attracted. So even when Lord Narayana appears, he is very attractive. So, so that Krishna can indicate Narayana also depending on the consciousness. So if I give you a simple example again, just to reiterate this very solid in our hearts, that supposing the word is the same, the name is the same, but what is the consciousness under which it is called out? I will give you this example again. Many times I have given this. For example, the word Papa. The morning, the child at about 7:15 says in the downstairs, waiting downstairs, and father is in the bedroom still wearing his tie and his coat. Papa. So the word is Papa. So Papa knows, yes, beta, I'm coming down. I know I'm 5 minutes late. Your school bus is coming. Just by the word Papa, that consciousness, the immediately conveyed by the son or the daughter to the father, just by that word, the father has understood why she is calling me or why my child is calling me. Right? Same word is being used in the evening. Papa. And this is around 7 p.m. When Papa says, well, Papa is on the computer. Oh, yes, beta, I'm coming for dinner. Dinner is served. I know. I'm coming. Give me 2 minutes. Just one word. Papa is being uttered. But now we know what the consciousness is. Now that person knows. Similarly, Hare Krishna and the entire Mahamantra has a certain consciousness. But because we are privileged to be in Mahaprabhu's camp as Rupanugas, as the followers of Rupa Goswami, as followers of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the moment we speak about Hara, we think of Radharani and all the gopis of Vrindavan in the Madhuri Rasha. That is the word Hara for us. And Krishna is the all attractive Nandanandan Krishna, the Kishore Krishna, who is so naughty, who is always, and Raman, Ram means Ranjayati, Ramyati, Iti Ramaha. That Raman, Natha Ramana Preshta, a short form of Raman is Ram. Many places we find in the scriptures. So that Ram is a very, very deep meaning. When one is, as one advances in the Mahamantra, then that Ram means that Radharani and Krishna in seclusion, they are actually in union in Sanmukh. They're enjoying their pastimes in the Nikunja of Sri Vrindavan, whether it is Nidhivan or Vamshivat. So there are so many deep meanings. Again, it will become a whole 5-week class if I just go into the deeper nuances of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So the point that I was trying to bring home is that separation was felt, and then and seclusion. Next day they met in seclusion, because generally speaking, the advanced subject matters most people will not understand. And Srila Prabhupada has aptly commented that only when some people who are of maturity, then they will be able to understand such high subject matters. So then after meeting Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Lord Chaitanya, after he left for the Brahmana's house, took the prasadam. Next day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, he took a bath in the Godavari, and he sat down and waited for Rayaramananda to come. And Rayaramananda came alone. He was accompanied this time only by one servant to meet Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Ramananda Rai then approaches Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with danvats, with pranams, and the Lord again he embraces him, gives him a tight embrace, and they began to discuss Krishna in a secluded place. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ordered Ramananda Rai. He tells Ramananda Rai, "Oh Ramanand, please tell me." He says, "Prabhu ko hai, pada shloke shadhyaro nirnoy Rai ko hai, Swadharma charane Vishnu bhakti hoy." Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked or ordered Ramananda Rai, please recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of life. So, as I mentioned last time also, Srimad Bhagavatam also starts with such wonderful questions by Sukadeva Goswami, who is the Guru, and Parikshit Maharaj, who plays the role of of a very, very surrendered disciple. He asked, what is the goal of life? Please tell me, oh Sukdev Goswami Pad, especially for one who is dying. So here the Lord has taken the role because he wants to hear the pure conclusion of devotion from Prana Sakhi of Radharani Rayaramananda. And it is not that he doesn't know it. Maybe he knows it, maybe he does not know it. But, and one of the things is because he doesn't understand fully the pure bhakti of Radharani, that is the reason why he came. That is the reason why he came here as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as the internal reason. I just mentioned that shloka in the earlier part when I mentioned that he came down to give the holy name. That is the external reason. But also why he came? He came so to give the pure bhakti, and also to glorify Srimati Radharani, her bhakti, her love for him, to taste his own sweetness. He came for those internal reasons, and he had not literally obtained that yet, because we are in the Madhya Leela of Chaitanya Charitamrita. He obtains Radha Bhav in the Antya Leela, in the last chapter of Chaitanya Charitamrita, especially when the Chaitanya Sistastakam emanates from his lotus mouth. So that time he fully attains that sweetness that Radharani tastes from her perspective. And that time he attains that Madanakya Bhav of Radharani. In Krishna Prema, there are different levels. So most of us, we say that, oh, what is your aspiration? What is the goal of your life? Oh, I want Krishna Prema. And beyond that, most of us, we don't know what Krishna Prema entails. There is Krishna Prema in Vatsalya Rasa, that of Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda Mai and the elderly gopis and gopas. That is considered known as the Gritta Sneha, Gritta Prema. Gritta means just like their hearts melt like the ghee. Gritta means ghee. And there is Sambrama Prema that has been displayed by his friends. And then there is Rag, Anurag, all those different types of premas that are there, and Madanakya and Mohanakya Bhav that are the exclusive within the Madhurya Rasa. So in Madhurya Rasa, they have Rag, Anurag, all the gopis have that for Krishna. Radharani also has that, but Radharani has a very special bhav which none of the gopis can obtain, and that is what Nandanandan wanted to obtain, that bhav, which is Madanakya and Mohanakya bhav. So that he obtained, we find, after a lot of tapasya. This Thursday, when we will be discussing, I'll try to touch some of the important points of Mahaprabhu's appearance, and we'll do some bhajans at 6 p.m. same time. It will be very early for our Nandpran Prabhu, who is joining from Vrindavan. Today the time changed. We advanced 1 hour in North America. So it is 3:30 a.m. India time. So Prabhuji always joins us early in the morning. So this Thursday, please join to celebrate Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that recite a verse from the revealed scriptures concerning the ultimate goal of human life. So then he mentions Varnashrama Charana Vata Purushena Paramapuman Vishnu Rararate Pantho Nanyatat Toshakarnanam. So we also discussed that the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Vishnu, Rayaramananda says that Vishnu is the goal. So even Prahlad Maharaj says that in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We find that in the seventh canto, Nate Vidu Swartha Gatim Vishnu. Most people do have no idea. Nate Vidu. Vidu means to know. Swartha Gatim. Well, that's another beautiful word in Sanskrit, which the secondary meaning changes it to totally in an opposite direction. Because when we say in most of our vernacular languages, Swartha, then we say that that person is selfish. Whether it is Hindi, Swarthi hai, we say that, bahut Swarthi hai, very selfish person. But what is the root meaning of Swartha? Swa means self, meaning the soul, and Artha means the highest goal or the highest conclusion. That is, and what is that Swa? So Prahlad Maharaj defines that in the Srimad. Nate Vidu. Most people in this material world, they do not know Swa Artha Gatim Vishnu, that Vishnu is the ultimate goal. Vishnu or Krishna. Nate Vidu. Andhayupaniya Manaha. The blind are leading the blind today. If one blind person asks another blind person, my dear sir, can you help me cross the road? And if the other person is also blind, and if there is a big hole, then both are going to fall. So that is the situation in today's world. But here, based on scripture, on he says varnashram, acharvata, following the varnashram, because the varnashram system has been created by Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that what is that verse? That Chaturvarnyam Vaya system Guna Karma Vibhagas. I have created this Varna and ashrams because that is to elevate mankind to pure Krishna consciousness. So no matter what, one may be born as a Shudra, very ignorant, but one can elevate oneself slowly and gradually. One can elevate themselves from Vaishya to Kshatriya, Kshatriya to Brahman, and also in the ashrams from Brahmacharya to Grihastha to Vanaprastha to the Sannyas ashram, and then beyond Sannyas ashram, which is the Vaishnava, pure Vaishnava ashram. It is not, it is considered as beyond the four. But in order to become a pure Vaishnava, Krishna has created this Chatur Varnam Maya Srishtam, these four Varnas I have created. Also in the Srimad Bhagavatam it is mentioned, Ata Pumbir Dvija Srishtaha, Varnashram Vibhagashaha, Swa Anustistasya Dharmasya Samsiddhir Haritoshanam. Meaning, addressing the all the assembled devotees, the sages in that were present, Parikshit Maharaj was being told, but all the sages were told, even Naimisharanya by Sutta Goswami and Sukdev Goswami, Atapumbir Dvijatrishta, twice born, because they were all very elevated personalities. Varnashrama Vibhagasa, that amongst the twice born, therefore, they have concluded that the highest perfection one can achieve is by discharging the duties, Swa Anuthistasya Dharmasya, by discharging their prescribed duties. So, Varnashram Dharma is even being taught to Arjun on the battlefield of Krishna in an emergency in the Bhagavad Gita. Your duty is, as a Kshatriya, you must fight. You cannot run away, because that will bring you infamy. Yeah, the duty or the dharma of a Kshatriya is to fight. So, as a duty, you must fight. So here Krishna explains the basics. So Varnashram is also basics. So which is even Srimad Bhagavatam, because this is in the first canto. In the second chapter, this verse comes. But as we advance in Srimad Bhagavatam and then we enter into the 10th canto, we understand that the ultimate goal is Krishna Prema. And Krishna Prema is the only thing that will give Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje Ahituki Apratiyata Jena Atma Suprasidati. The highest dharma of mankind is to satisfy Sri Krishna. Savai Pumsam Paro Yato Bhakti Radhokshaje. Pure devotional service to Sri Krishna. And it has to be Ahituki Apratiyata, without any material motive. Anya Vilashita Shunya Jnana Karma Navritam Anukulina Krishna Anushilanam Tad Bhakti Ruttam. Pure bhakti, as defined by Naradji in Narad Bhakti Sutra, as defined by Rup Goswami Thakur in the Bhakti Rasam Sindhu, as defined by Srimad Bhagavatam. And then Jena Atma Suprasiddhati, then the self or the soul will be completely satisfied. And Atma Suprasiddhati also, Vishwanath Chakravarti Pad in this verse explains that Atma also here means that the Atma that is present in everyone, which is Sri Krishna. And he will be fully satisfied. When we perform pure devotional service as the highest dharma, without a tinge, without any materialistic motives, and it has to be uninterrupted. Not in good days, we forget Krishna. In bad days, we start going to the temple or the church or the mosque more and more. No, apratiyata. That is the definition. Ata pumbir dvija sreshta varnashrama vibhagasaha swadharmasya swa anustisthasya dharmasya sam siddhir haritoshanam. Some samyak siddhi. The topmost siddhi is a samyak, the full siddhi. Haritoshanam, satisfying Sri Hari. So that is the goal of Varnashram. So like that, he starts with Varnashram system, and then later on, the next verse, he's mentioning that Prabhu kahe iho bhaiya aage kaho yaar, Rai kahe Krishna karmarpana sarva shadha shar. So Prabhu kahe, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, Iho Bahiyo, this is external. What you are telling me about Varnasam system, ठीक आछे, it's okay. It is external. आगे कहो आर. Please tell me more. Rai kahe Krishna karma prana sarva sadhya sar. So he's saying that what offer Krishna everything, our activities, the results of our activities to Krishna is the essence of perfection. Sarva sadhya sar. So here he is talking about karma yoga. So now we understand that Krishna also spoke about karma yoga in the 3rd chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. So karmi and karma yoga, there is a difference. I've mentioned that quite a bit. Karmi means one who is attached to the results of his actions. So an example would be that supposing if somebody is working and they are supposed to get some money, and for some reason if they don't get the money, then they are so attached that they start, calling the employer or whoever they are collecting money for. Oh, this is my hard-earned money, you must give it to me, otherwise I will go to court, I will do this, I will do that. Because so much, and then he loses sleep over it. So that is a karmi. So most of us are karmis. We have to admit that. We have to examine our life. And what is a karma yoga? Karma yoga is no matter what, everything I offer to Krishna. So even if I'm making $5 million, Krishna arpanamastu, this is yours. So tomorrow morning when we wake up, and supposing all those rich people in Ukraine, who had millions of dollars, and because of the Russian invasion, everything is gone. But if there is a pure devotee in Ukraine, he will think that, okay, it was Krishna's, it is Krishna's, and Krishna has taken it. No attachment. Krishna arpanamastu. Very difficult. If we can cross karma yoga, then we can enter into bhakti yoga. And even within bhakti yoga, pure bhakti yoga is very rare. That is why Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita that Manushyanam sarasyasu kaschi jatati siddhe. Out of those who are already perfected, those who are devotees, out of that only one becomes a perfectionist. And that perfectionist, as per our consciousness in the line of Mahaprabhu, is Madhurya Rasa, giving pleasure to Nanda Nandan, giving pleasure to Sri Radha. That is perfection. Perfection is giving pleasure and serving the servants of Sri Radha. Dasa Dasa Anudas. Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo. Dasa Anudas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's words that my position is, somebody said that, what are you? And although he was a sannyasi, he mentioned that Amida na nasi. Nasi means I'm not a sannyasi, I'm not a Brahmin, I'm not this, I'm not that. Then what is your identity, my dear sir? Gopi Bhartu Padakamalayo Dasanu. I am, my eternal identity is that I am the servant of the servant of the servant of the gopis, which is the primary gopi is Sri Radha. Gopi Bhartu. Gopi Bhartu also means Krishna. So Bhoti Bhartuka. So Krishna is feeding the life air of the gopis, and the gopis are feeding the life air of Krishna. It is symbiotic in nature. So just like the word Gopinath. Gopinath means most of the people will think it is Krishna, the Nath or the Lord of the gopis. But our Rasikacharya says the other way around also. Gopis are the Nath because they can make Krishna dance just as they want. Krishna is Vashya, Bhakta Vashya. So when the gopis tell Krishna, do this, you keep quiet, you sit down, you listen to Tunga Vidya. She is our guru now. She is going to give us justice. So Krishna, like a very good boy, he will sit down and he will listen. Agyakari. A guru agya he does not do. So similarly, he is the gopis are the Nath. Nath means masters. Because they are that. If the gopis were not the Nath, then why would have Mahaprabhu? Why would have Krishna taken the avatar, the Audhari avatar of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? He came to taste that inner sweetness of himself, to glorify Sri Radharani, Radharani's prema, and to feel what Radharani feels. These are the three internal reasons. Yadi gaur na hoite tabe ki hoito kemone dharitam de Radhara mahima prema rosha sima jagat janatake. Radhara prema mahima. How would the world have known the crescendo or the zenith or the highest prem that is displayed by Radharani? The world would have not known of Jadi gaur na hoite. So like this. So actually speaking, that is why gopis are the Nath. And in one particular, Radharani is the topmost Nath. And that is the reason why he had to come as Mahaprabhu, to understand his own sweetness, etc., the internal reasons. So like this, the essence, Rayaramananda says, based on scripture, is that basically he quotes Bhagavad Gita shlokas, like the Karma Yoga slokas, Yat Karosi, Yat Dasnasi, it will come. Whatever we do, we should offer it to Krishna. All these wonderful points will be coming in this chapter as we progress. Further, he says, right there, here it comes. That verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Rayaramananda, you have to quote based on scripture. So this is another philosophical lesson for all of us. If somebody makes some statement that this person is God, or this particular thing is that, then that evidence has to be supported by scriptural evidence. Nowadays we find that so many persons, they are impressed, chamatkar ko hai namaskar. When somebody shows some miracle, they start, the people at large who are ignorant of the pure scriptural verdict or the pure scriptural injunctions, they have not studied it. So because somebody does somebody can produce some ash or some little bit of gold, or they can produce some phal, some fruit, then they consider them as God. They become God. Many years ago, we know that the Osho came to the United States and they called him Bhagwan Rajneesh. So the cheaters and the cheated. And like this, we find there are so many, that Satya Sai Baba of South India, he used to produce some ash, vibhuti. So they called him Bhagwan Shri Rajni, Bhagwan Satya Sai Baba. They used to call him Bhagwan. So that is not there. It has to be there in the scriptures. Even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance is mentioned in the scriptures. Krishna Varnam Tisha Krishnam Sango Pango Parshadam Yajanti Yagyai San Kirtanai Yajanti Hi Sumedesa. Srimad Bhagavatam has already spoken about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. It is there. So like this, we should not, even in Mahabharata, there is mentioned, there are so many verses in the scriptures that mention the advent of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, what he will look like, where he will appear, who his parents will be, in what part of Bharatvarsh he will appear. So one should not blindly. So that is the reason Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Rayaramananda, with scriptural evidence, tell me what is the goal of life. So the first thing he says is, Samsiddhi Haritoshanam, Vishnu. One should worship Vishnu. Then he says that become a karma yogi. And here he starts with this verse of Bhagavad Gita directly in Sanskrit. Yat karoshi yad asnasi, yad juhosi dadasi yat tapasyasi kaunteya, tat kurushva mad arpanam. So, meaning, Ramananda Rai Prabhu said that, my dear son of Kunti, whatever you do, whatever you eat, whatever you offer in sacrifice, whatever you give in charity, whatever austerities you perform, all the results of such activities should be offered to me, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this is what he quotes. Now, the Lord had already said, Mahaprabhu had already said that Varnashram system, dharma is not properly executed in the age of Kali Yuga. Therefore, he ordered Rayaramananda to go further into the matter. So Rayaramananda replied that with the verse of Bhagavad Gita, which is in 927, which he instructs, while remaining in the system of Varnashram, one should offer the results of his activities to Lord Krishna in loving service. So naturally, Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was asking Ramananda Rai about the execution of devotional service. So slowly, Mahaprabhu is leading. A good student will also lead the guru to higher and higher subject matters by his questions. So that's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did. And then Ramananda Rai first enunciated the principle of Varnashram Dharma, which is the Varna and the Ashrams. So in consideration for the materialistic people in this material world, so that they can slowly be elevated. However, this conception is not transcendental. So not necessary that somebody who is a sannyasi or somebody who is a vanaprastha or somebody who is a grihastha or a brahmachari they're situated on a transcendental platform. It is not necessary that one who is a Shudra or a Vaishya or even one who is a Kshatriya or a Brahman, they are situated on a transcendental platform. If that was the case, then the Brahmins that were accompanied by Rayaramananda every evening, and when they came that particular evening, the previous day, they could not understand the ecstatic symptoms that were there, that were displayed out of the result of pure bhakti, out of the result of Madhuri Rasha Prem that was being displayed by Mahaprabhu, uh, the sannyasi who they did not know, and of course their master, the governor of Vidyanagar, Ramanand Rai, they were shocked. So, Srila Prabhupada very clearly mentions that it is not a transcendental, however, this conception is not transcendental. Varnashram system can lead you to a certain extent, just like Bhagavad Gita can lead us to a certain extent. But pure bhakti, we will still need more guidance beyond Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita does spell out bhakti, the basic principles, basically that Krishna says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati sarvada dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam raja, etc. That, please give up all kinds of duties or dharmas and surrender unto me. So Krishna talks about surrender, Krishna talks about bhakti, all these points he's talking, but he doesn't really talk about the details how to obtain it. He doesn't talk. So that is why he had to come back as Mahaprabhu, as his own devotee, to teach devotion unto him. And he not only did that, but he went beyond that to give that prem, Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate. The most munificent, the most dani, Mahadani. Vadanyaya means one who is a very, very charitable person. But Mahavadanyaya means one of the most charitable, most munificent. There is nobody in the Bhutona Bhavishyati. He is even more charitable than Nandan Sri Krishna, because he has the component or the mood of Sri Radha, because she is the most compassionate, Vrishabhanu Nandini. So therefore, the Varnashram system takes us to a certain foundation, just like our schooling till the 10th grade or the 12th grade. So as long as one is in the material world, he must follow the principles of Varnashram. Srila Prabhupada mentions that. But devotional service or bhakti is divya. It is transcendental. The system of Varnashram refers to the three modes of material nature, by transcendental devotional service is one on the absolute platform. So how can we understand that? So again, if we look at Varnashram system, the persons who are mostly in ignorant, they are known as Shudras. So what happens when the Shudras serve properly, then the entire society, meaning the other three members of the society, or the other three social orders of the society, meaning Vaishya and Brahmana, Vaishya, Kshatriya and Brahmanas, by doing that, slowly they will gradually come out of Tamogun due to their association with the Vaishyas. Vaishyas are generally in the mode of passion and they have some goodness. Kshatriyas are in the mode of passion mainly, and Brahmanas are in the mode of goodness. So by their association, by serving them, by their service, they will be slowly elevated. And those who are Vaishyas, due to their attachment to money and mercantile class, then they will, when they are being guided by Brahmins, then they will be slowly graduating where money is not everything. Going towards spirituality is an important component of their lives. So like that, the Varnashram system from Tamogun to Rajo and Rajo to Sato. But Divya, or the transcendental step, is when we go to Shuddha Sattvam, which is even beyond the Sattvic modes of material nature, which is beyond this Varnashram Dharma. But Varnashram Dharma is required to reach the Sattvic platform, because those who are not Sattvic will never be able to understand the Krishna Prem. They will never be able to, they will never get that Nishtha, Ruchi, Asakti, Bhav and Prem. They will never reach those stages. So therefore, Varnashram system is like a bunyad. It is the foundation. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Prabhupada ji says that he belongs to the spiritual world, and his methods for propagating the Sankirtan movement are also imported from the spiritual world. Amazing. Jai Shri Prabhupada. You know, Prabhupada used to, when he used to go to India and meet many Indian families, sometimes they used to invite Swamiji to their home for lunch or dinner or for some katha. and the reporters used to catch him sometimes, in the programs, or sometimes in the temples, or in the or interviews. So Prabhupada would always be accompanied by his Western disciples. And then Prabhupada would sometimes joke that in India, everybody loves imported stuff. They love imported stuff, something which is rare. Also in this world, especially in India, that fad was there. When we were kids, we remember that when one uncle got an imported watch, we used to just simply look at it 10 times. Imported watch. And when one uncle got an imported TV, he had put it on this big cupboard, on that big iron cupboard, so nobody could touch it. So we were going and seeing some of the Doordarshan programs in his house, imported. It was such a big fad. Imported things, we go to Bombay, where I am from. There are certain markets where only imported stuff is. Manish market, all smugglers, they sell their wares to that Manish market. And there is another one, I forget the name. Maybe Nantran Prabhu, you are from Bombay area. In Crawford market, there is one more market what was famous for all imported stuff. In Fountain, all the streets, there's a place called Fountain in Bombay. Both the sides of the sidewalk, they are permeated with vendors who sell all imported stuff. Right from so imported stuff. So here, Prabhupada's sense of humor is amazing. Everybody, so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is not from here. So he's bringing this transcendental idea he has imported from the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. Narottam Das Thakur laments that the mundane people do not take the Sankirtan movement seriously. We know that bhajan that he has composed based on Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Sistastakam, verse number 2. What is that? Verse where Mahaprabhu says, Namna Makari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti Tatra Arpita Niyameta Smaranena Kala. And the last two lines, Smarana Eta Drashi Tava Kripa Bhagwanam Durdaivam Idrisham Ihajani Na Anuraga. I am not interested, I am not attached to the holy name, although you have invested all your internal potencies in the holy name. On a similar, that is what a Rupanuga is. That is what a follower of Mahaprabhu is. He composed this bhajan, Hari Hari Bifale Janama Gaino, Manusho Janama Paya, Radha Krishna Na Bhajiya, Janiya Shunia Bishakhaino. Golokera Prema Dhano, Harinama Sankirtana, Ratina Janmilo Ke Netai. Same thing what Mahaprabhu says, Ratina Janmilo Ke Netai. Although so much is there, this has been imported. Golokera Prema Dhana. This Hare Krishna Mahamantra, Golokera Prema Dhana, Harinama Sankirtana, Ratina Janmilo Ke Netai. But I'm not interested, I'm not attached to the holy name. Taking a very, very humble positions. Such personalities are the most attached. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself said that he is not attached to the holy name, but he was most attached. Otherwise, how would he have gotten the bhava of Radha? He would have not gotten it if he was not attached to the holy name. But it is out of pure humility. It is for us that, hey, we should chant. Prabhupada said, at the time of initiation, he asked everyone, so tell me the 4 regulative principles. So everybody would say, Prabhupada, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. And how many rounds will you chant every day? So then they would say 16. Prabhupada said, no, 16 good rounds. 16 G-O-O-D, good rounds. So because we cannot chant 16 good rounds, minimum 16 good rounds, because we have Ratina Janmilo Ke Netai. We have not attached to the holy name. We first of all have no conviction within our hearts that the holy name is Sri Krishna. He is Sakshat Krishna. Nam, what is that verse? Nityo Nityanam, Chaitanos Chaitnanam, Nityo Nityanas, Chaitana, trying to remember. Abhi mukh mein nahi aa raha hai. In the last line, I believe it says the Namna Namino Abhinnatva. The name, the holy name, and the name, they are abhinnatva. They are non-different. So it is Sri Krishna that we are associating when we are chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram. It is the gopis. It is the internal associates, the parshads of Sri Krishna in the word Hara. They are all present. And Krishna himself and Srimati Radharani, they are all present. All the Vrajvasis are present in the Mahamantra. So how many of us have that conviction? Because we are not attached to the holy name. And why we are not attached to the holy name? Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given the answer. Because we are attached to what? We are attached to dhanam, wealth, janam, followers. Even after becoming sadhus and gurus, we are attached to followers. We need more followers. We need to create more disciples. More disciples means more money. Even those who are not attracted to money, it is pratishtha, which is pishachini. And that is mentioned. Krishnaraj Kaviraj Goswami mentions that it is pishachini. I think a couple of days ago, the verse was sent to me by Nandpran Prabhu, that these are like witches, the wealth and pratishtha. So they are like they will never let us go free, even reaching that so-called stage. So that is the reason why we should be slowly and steadily be attached to spirituality and detached to materialism. Na dhanam, na janam, na sundarim. The attraction to the opposite sex. Kavita va jagdisha kame. Many young kids, they sing this Mayapur Kirtan Mela and all. We see all these young girls and young boys huddled together, and we see how they are watching each other when they are singing. It is not for attracting Krishna, it is attracting the opposite sex. So many, we see that happening in the big temples. That is not the goal. When one is chanting the holy names, we should simply concentrate on the lotus feet of Radha Krishna. We should simply concentrate on that Sri Vigraha. We should not worry about how many people are sitting around us, whether it is one person or 1,000 or 1,000,000 people. Then it is simply Lokaranjanam. That is the reason why we are not attracted to the holy name. And we are not attracted to the holy name, who is Sakshat Krishna and Krishna's Parshads, then how can we be delivered? How can we associate with them? Krishna is giving, Mahaprabhu is giving this association very freely, without any charge. But Ratina Janmi Loke Netai. So Prabhupada is mentioning this. That Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu deemed the system of Varnashram system to be material. Although it aims for the elevation of spirit, for the elevation to obtain the spiritual platform. However, the Sankirtan movement can raise one immediately to the spiritual platform. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Consequently, it is said that Varnashram Dharma is external. Iho bahya. Aage kaho. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested to proceed deeper into the matter and uncover the spiritual platform. Sometimes materialists consider Lord Vishnu a material conception. That is true, because he is the one who is with the bank. He gives us all our supplies and demands when we make a demand. The impersonalists misunderstand the worship of Lord Vishnu. Those who are Mayavadis, they worship Lord Vishnu to merge into his body. See, this is the kind of consciousness they have, the Mayavadis. Srila Prabhupada is very clearly. So in order that Vishnu Aradhana should not be misunderstood, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu requested that Sri Ramanand Rai proceed even further and clear up this issue. That is the perfect. Just see the perfection in Mahaprabhu's statements, where how he is inspiring Rai Ramanand to go deeper and deeper. So that, because there's nothing wrong with Vishnu Aradhana, honestly speaking. But according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, it will be misunderstood. The impersonalists or the Mayavadis will want to merge, and those who are materialists, like we find, who is Lord Vishnu? Lord Vishnu is Venkateshwar, Balaji. And we find 99.999% of the people who are lined up in South India at the Balaji temple, sometimes for days, it's all about getting some material benefit. Is it true or not? If we analyze that. So that is what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did not want. This is very clear here. We can see it through our own examples. How many business magnates, industrialists, udyogpatis, they all go to Balaji. They offer, last year they said we offered 2 crores and the portfolio increased 10 times. This year I will offer Lord Balaji 5 crores, making a business. And Lord Balaji is so nice. The Vaikuntha Adhipati or Lord Vishnu is simply smiling with Lakshmi Devi. Lakshmi Devi is actually smiling. Prabhu, they are worshipping you. I am kind of obligated to give them more so that they will worship you more. So like this, that is the impetus. So Lakshmi Devi, because we are worshipping the husband of the goddess of fortune, those people, and if that is what their consciousness is, so Lakshmi Devi is very kind. She gives them all the material things. But in one sense, that attachment will remain and that will give us birth again and again. That is the reason why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to give a higher conclusion. And as we go into this, then Prabhupada, even Srila Prabhupada quotes this verse from Srimad Bhagavad, which is the same verse, Dharma Swarishta Pumsam Vishwakshena Kathasuya Na Utpadayati Ratim Shrama Eva Hi Kevalam. Dharma Swa Anushtita Pumsam. So further it is clarified that the highest dharma for the mankind is Vishwaksena Kathayah, that in Varnashram number 1 does not cultivate dormant Krishna consciousness. If that na utpad, na utpadayed, utpad, not utpad, but na utpadayed means utpan karna. If it does not rise to yadi ratim, it doesn't rise to the attachment to Krishna consciousness or to Krishna, shrama eva hi kevalam. It is just a waste of time. Shrama eva hi kevalam. Na utpadiyet yati ratim. Yadi ratim. Ratim means attraction or the cultivating Krishna prem, the attraction towards Nandan Krishna. Then shrama eva hi kevalam. That is a waste of time. So then from this verse, yat karoshi yat dasnasi, whatever you do, whatever you offer to Krishna, Mahaprabhu said, Prabhu kahe, eho bhaiya aage kahat, Raya kahe swadharma tyaga, ei shadha sar. Raya kahe swadharma tyaga, ei shadha sar. Prabhu kahe, eho bhaiya, aage kaho ar. Mahaprabhu said, eho bhaiya. This is also external. So here, this karma yoga of Bhagavad Gita has been rejected by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Yes. So if we speak like that, 40 years we have been hearing that in the ISKCON temples. And if I speak like this, that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected Bhagavad Gita, most of the people will say this is your last lecture. Because neither have they understood Mahaprabhu properly, nor they have understood the goal of the Gaudiya Vaishnavism. So again, that is one of the reasons that such katha is to be done in a secluded place. And that is why we have created this Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavad group. For those who are deeply interested, we are not interested in the number of people. It is the people who want quality, people who want to really understand the message of Mahaprabhu, Gauravani. That is the reason we have created this group. It's a small group, a secluded group. So Prabhu kahe, eho bhai, aage kaho aar. Please tell me more, aage kaho. Rai kahe. Ramanand Rai said, Swadharma tyaga ei shadya sar. So then he says, we should proceed on this matter by tell me more. And it says, to give up one's occupational duties is the Varnashram system, is the essence of perfection. So here we are leading to the main verse of Bhagavad Gita, which will be coming very soon. I think it's probably the next verse, if I'm not mistaken. Which is Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. So, Rai Ramanan says to give up one's occupational duties. So the occupational duties means we have to give up our, supposing if I am considering myself that I am the boss of a company, or I'm considering myself as the head of the family, or a grandfather, or an uncle, or this or that, though these are called upadhis. These are called upadhis. Sarva upadhi vinirmuktam tatparatena nirmalam risikena risikesha sevanam tad bhakti ruchyate. Naradji, Narad Bhakti Sutra. Sarva upadhi. The upadhi means bodily designation. Considering that I'm the husband of such and such, or I'm the son of such and such. So, and then because of this body, different dharmas or occupational duties arise. So when I go to office, this is my duty. I'm an accountant, as an example. Then my duty is to maintain the accounts of the company, etc., etc. You all get the idea. So these are all external occupational duties because these are based on the body. And based on our karma, the occupational duties will change. Next jaram, it is not necessary next birth that I will become an accountant, I can become a cobbler. If I am not educated, even materially educated, then I will be simply sitting under some kind of a small shop, sewing the boots of the people and the sandals. So my occupational duty would have changed. Or if I educate myself in the material world with a very humongous aptitude, then I can become a doctor and become a specialist and even become further, even more specialized, and make a lot of money, etc. So then my occupational duty would be to save my patients from death or to prescribe medications, etc. So here Ramanand Rai is saying that we have to renounce all these occupational duties. A Brahmin may renounce his family and accept sannyas. Others, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, may also give up their families and take to Krishna consciousness. Sri Prabhupada is saying such renunciation is called karma tyaga. Very important. So even it doesn't mean that even while we are in our household, we can do karma tyaga. Karma tyaga can be done by simply offering the results of everything that we do to Krishna. So we have, that is tyaga, sacrificing everything. It's for you, O Krishna, whatever the results are, which is also karma yoga. But even renouncing that, by such renunciation, the Supreme Person of Godhead is satisfied. So like this, it is mentioned in the next verse that agyaiva gunam doshan maya dishtan api swakan dharman santyajya ya sarvan mam bhajet sa cha sattama. Agyaivam gunam dosham maya dishtam api swakam dharman santyajya ya sarvam mam bhajet sa cha sattamaha. Meaning, agnya, knowing perfectly, evam, gunam dosham, knowing the faults, maya, in me, adistam, he instructed api, although swakam dharma, occupational duties. Ramananda Rai said that occupational duties are described in the religious scriptures. If one analyzes them, he can fully understand their qualities and faults, and then they can give them up completely to render service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a person is considered a first-class man. So at some time, that elevation of consciousness should come, that ultimately it is the pleasure of Krishna that I should be involved in, and even if that means giving up my occupational duties. But that should not be done whimsically. If we do it whimsically, then we will fall flat on our face. We should be done gradually and properly and under the proper guidance of a bona fide guru or the bona fide guru parampara. Then further he says in the next verse, which he quotes again from Bhagavad Gita, Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami ma suchaha. So this is the summum bonum of Bhagavad Gita, verse number chapter 18, verse number 66. So Rai Ramananji is quoting Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja aham tam sarva papebhyo mokshasyami ma suchaha. So sarva dharman parityajya, so giving up all occupational duties. So here basically when Krishna spoke to Arjuna on the battlefield, he is speaking, and now you have to even give up your Kshatriya duty, which he explained as karma yoga. But you do it for my pleasure, which is giving up occupational duty. And when Arjun picked up the bow and arrow and commenced the war, and when he blew the Panchajanya conch shell, it was how he mentions that after Krishna explains this in the 18th chapter, Nashtamo smriti labda tvat prasadat maya achyuta gata sandeha stito asmi karishye vachanam tavaha. By your mercy, O Krishna, I have been re-established in my intelligence. Stito asmi. Gata sandeha. All my doubts have been cleared by your mercy, O Krishna. Tat prasadat maya achyuta stito asmi karishye vachanam tava. I will do exactly as you say. So here Arjuna acted out of bhakti. He acted out of giving up his swadharma. See, a lot of us, we don't understand the Bhagavad Gita very clearly, but when we are in conjunction, when we read Srila Prabhupada's books and his purports and parallel verses and points when they come, it should become very crystal clear. So I hope the listeners have understood the difference between a karmi, a karma yogi, and one who has even given up karma yoga for the satisfaction of Krishna. Uh, because someone may say that, okay, I give up my duty, then I will incur reaction. Uh, so if Arjuna is thinking that if I've understood, I'm a Kshatriya, I have to fight. I've been challenged. If a Kshatriya is challenged, especially on a battlefield, there is no question. It's do or die. There's no question. Virgati praptam. They will, even if they die, they will obtain heavenly planets. That's where they will go. But they will never show their back, a true Kshatriya. So out of their occupational duty, they will fight. But when Krishna told him, Sarva Dharma Patijya Mamekam, so after understanding that, perhaps there was a doubt in Arjun's mind. What was that doubt? That, okay, now that you have explained in the third, when you spoke the third chapter, it is my duty to fight. I am a Kshatriya. But if I give that up, then I will incur a sinful reaction, which is true. When we are in the material world and we have to follow the material rules and regulations. And if we do not follow that, then we will incur a reaction. So then Krishna says immediately, when you give up even this Kshatriya dharma and you fight just for me, for my satisfaction, aham tam sarva papebhyo, I will eradicate all your sinful activities. In case if you're thinking, I'm giving you assurance that you will not, even if there is a sinful reaction, I will absorb it. I will absolve you of your sinful reaction. See, this is the beauty. And Arjuna actually did fight the battle on bhakti, but it was out of fear. It is out of fear he did it. Although the assurance was there, that is the reason Krishna had to assure him that aham tam sarva papebhyo. For a pure devotee situated on a Vraj platform, that sentence Krishna would have never spoken, aham tam sarva papebhyo. There's no question of pap on that. But this, of course, being Arjun being brought down to that platform as a common person, that is why Krishna is giving us that guarantee to us by that verse of Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshashyami Masucha. Krishna is actually giving us a guarantee that, hey, look, if you're going to be chanting my names or you're going to be doing bhakti and you're thinking that, slowly you will be detaching yourself from all your material duties, and if you are thinking that you will incur a sinful reaction, papa kriya, then don't worry. Because you are going to do as I tell you for my pleasure, you will not be. Mokshashyami masucha. Do not worry. Do not worry. Guaranteed. There's no question that you will be incurring sinful reactions. So this is what Rayaramanada quotes. So then Srila Prabhupada mentions in this connection, Srila Raghunath Das Goswami instructs in his book Manas Siksha. This is a wonderful book of Raghunath Das Goswami, one of our Rasika Acharyas, who under the tutelage of Rup Goswami and Sanatan Goswami and Sarup Damodar Goswami. Actually, Mahaprabhu had actually taken the hand of Raghunath Das Goswami and given it to Sarup Damodar. And then later on, he was known as he was known as the Sarupera Raghunath. Sarupera Raghunath. Because who is Sarup Damodar? Sarup Damodar is none other than Lalita Sakhi. And right now we are learning about the events that are happening between Rayaramananda and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, between Vishakha Sakhi and Radha Krishna. So Raghunath Das Goswami says, Na dharmam naradam stuti gana niruktam kilakuro vraje Radha Krishna prachura paricharyam ihatanu. What a beautiful verse. Meaning, he has thus enjoined that we should not perform religious or irreligious activities as prescribed in the Vedas. So that means what he's saying, Raghunath Das Goswami, you have to go beyond the Vedas. The best course is to engage always in the service of Lord Krishna and Radharani. That is the perfection of everything in this life. So this is what he says, Vraje Radha Krishna prachura paricharyam ihatanu. So without worrying what the reactions of the Vedas are, what the reactions are without the of not following Varnashram system, what the reactions of not following the karma yoga are, without worrying all that, basically, very clearly, Prabhupada ji has given, quoted from Manasiksha of Raghunath Das Goswami, na dharman na dharman na adharman, shruti gana nirkritam kila kuru, vraje radha krishna prachura paricharyam ihatanu. In Srimad Bhagavatam, Narad Muni, quoting Narad Muni ji in the fourth canto, I believe this is with the conversation with Dhruv Maharaj. Yada, oh sorry, this is with the conversation with Bali Maharaj. And this was one of the favorite shlokas of Srila Prabhupada. Yada yasya anugrahanati Bhagwan atma bhavita sa jahati matim loke vede cha pari nishthanam. When one actually takes to loving service of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he gives up all duties in the material world. It ceases all duties, as well as the duties prescribed by the Vedic literatures. So this is something that the devotees who are in the lower understanding, or those teachers also, the Vedic Brahmanas, obviously they're going to be propagating the importance of the highest importance of the Vedas, is following the Vedas, because it is also in relation to their occupation. Because if the Karmakandis don't call the Brahmins to perform Vidhis, then their shops will be closed. And even otherwise, the different followers of the Vedas who have faith in the Vedas, there are so many different Vidhis that they perform. Sanskaras, right from Garbhadan Sanskar, when the woman is pregnant, they perform that, or the Graha Pravesh ceremony. When somebody is entering into a new house, Hare Krishna, or so many other ceremonies that are there, that are the wedding ceremony, the different oblations, or the ceremonies that are there for the Pindadan, etc., at the time of death. All these are performed based on the scriptural injunctions. But here it is very clear, the one who is in pure Krishna consciousnness, if they don't even follow the scriptural injunctions, Narad Muni has clearly said, Yada yasya anugrahanati Bhagwan atma bhavita sa jahati matim loke vede cha parinishthana. Even though they are described by the Vedas or the Vedic literatures, if one takes to the loving devotional service, Shuddha Bhakti of the Supreme Personality of God, he gives up all duties to the material world. It ceases. So the question is that tomorrow somebody will say, okay, I'm giving up everything and I'm going to the Himalayas, or I'm going to sit in Vrindavan. I'm going to leave my children. We'll leave it to destiny. We will leave it to Krishna. And I will not incur reaction. But before we make that decision, are we situated on that pure bhakti platform? If one is situated on that pure bhakti platform, then there is no issues. But if we are not, then we have to continue in the varnashram system very nicely, perform our duties very nicely. And amongst the duties, the best part of the duties is becoming a karma yogi, offering the results to Krishna, which will lead us to bhakti. Because karma yoga is the foundation of bhakti yoga. Okay, so this is very, very important, Mahaprabhu. So now what does Mahaprabhu say? Mahaprabhu says, Prabhu kahe eho bhaiya आगे कहो यार, राय को है ज्ञान मिश्र भक्ति साध्य सार. प्रभु कहे एहो बाह्य, आगे कहो यार, राय को है ज्ञान मिश्र भक्ति साध्य सार. So Mahaprabhu has even kind of, you can say, he says, please tell me more than this sarva dharman parityajya. So now we can understand those who have been studying Bhagavad Gita and insisting on studying Bhagavad Gita for the rest of their lives, those speakers, those so-called big speakers in the temple on the Vyasasana, have they understood what Mahaprabhu has said? This is a question. Neither are they studying it deeply, nor are they imparting it to the others. For the last 40 years, we have been hearing these verses. They're good. Again, please do not misunderstand me. Good enough to change our consciousness. At the time of death, perhaps we will think of the Lord and the name of the Lord will come, or and then we will be transported to Vaikuntha. That's at best. There's no question of Raj. There is no question. There's no question that Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mamekam Sharanam Vraja has the first two lines has a very special rasic meaning also. Here Krishna is actually to the rasic devotees like Vishwanath Chakravarti, who has commented on the Bhagavad Gita, and even Sridhar Swami. But Srila Prabhupada has actually, when he has taken all the purports, where Srila Prabhupada translates and then he speaks about purports many a time. He speaks about what Vishwanath Chakravarti is speaking on a particular verse on the Bhagavad Gita. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he is none other than one of the Manjaris in Radharani's Seva. So the highest principles of pure bhakti, they have understood that. But sometimes they speak in such a way, for those who have understood pure bhakti will also get a deeper, they will also relish it. And those who have not, and those who have not even got the fundamentals, or those who have yet to understand the foundation, those verses are so perfectly composed that it is beneficial to both the parties. So Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam is actually denoting the gopis of Vrindavan. They gave up all their dharma. Did they not? When Krishna played the flute at night in Nidhivan or in Vamshivat, they gave up everything. Vipina Mahu Murali Hatha Saji, Navala Kishora, Navala Manamohana, Navala Kishora, Navala Manamohana, Navala Swara Vamshi Vaji, Klim Shrim Prema Bijako Vardaka Sakala Gopi Bhaga Chali, Vipina Mahu Murali Hatha Saji. When Krishna played the flute in the middle of the night, and at that time, he played very Navala Kishore. That Naval Kishore means here it applies to Nanda Nandan in its full bloom of youth. So that is in the Madhuri Rasa. Navala Kishore. Navala Manamohan. Every time the gopis saw Krishna, he was so attractive. Every time they saw, he was more and more. Navala Manamohan. Man means the heart. Deep within the heart is the man. And Mohan means one who attracts, one who enchants. So every time the gopis met, here Krishna was Navala Manamohana, Navala Swara Vamshi Vaji. We're talking about the so-called musicians in this world, when they're playing certain ragas and everybody says, wah, wah, wah. Radharani, Krishna and the gopis, when they play music, they're Chosat Kala, Nipuna. They are so much that sometimes they create the ragas instantly. And Navala Swara. Every time there is a Naval Swara. Even when Radharani cooks, she has got so many new recipes for the satisfaction of Krishna. That is the Chosat Kala Sampanna. That is. There is a nice Rasik Bhajan in Rag Kanaro. Rag Kanaharo Sunite Payat Sunavre Shabhanu Nandi Hini Radhe Koka Kalani Purna Radhe Tata Thai Ta Adhe. So when she dances, new dances. When Krishna dances, there are new dances. Navala Swara, new tune that attracted the gopis. Gopis Sagala Bhagachali. They left their husbands, they left their father-in-law, they left their mother-in-law, they left their little kids, they left their society. That is Sarva Dharma Parityaja. But the Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. And they only surrendered to Sri Krishna Nandanandan. When even Lord Vishnu came one time to test in the form of Krishna, he came to Vraj. And the gopis immediately recognized that you are not our Krishna. The surrender is only to Nandanandan, because he is the Adi, he is the real Madhav, the real husband. And a true woman always surrenders only to her. She has her faith, and she is very faithful to her husband. So the origin, Govindam Adi Purusha. Purusha means enjoyer. He is the primal husband. So when the gopis give up all the other images or the other swarupas and comes to Krishna, then that is the perfection of Sarva Dharman Parityaja. And what is it? Mamekam Sharanam Vraja. That kind of Sharan that has been displayed by the Vrajvasis. I don't know how many of you have heard Bhagavad Gita, this slok, many times in the temples, but I don't know if ever I came across somebody explaining this in a Rasik way. So we are blessed in the Bhakti Vedanta Bhagavad group. All glories to Sri Guru and Gauranga, that we have been given this treasure. Chakshudana dilo jai janme janme prabhu shai. The Chakshudan, the transcendental knowledge of rasa is opening within our hearts. All we need to do is show some greed. We have to show some lobh. That lobha is the only compensation for pure bhakti. Bhaktivinoda Thakur has quoted that. Rupa Goswami has quoted that in Bhakti Rasam Siddhu. So, after hearing Rayaramananda speak in this way, even about this famous Sarva Dharman Paritijya, Mahaprabhu says, Iho Bhaiya, this is external. And he rejected his statement. Srila Prabhupada has used these words, rejected his statement. Go ahead and say something more. So here, I will just finish this verse and then we will wind up. And again, Thursday evening, 6 p.m., very special day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance. 3:30 a.m. India time, as I mentioned, on Friday morning. And for Thursday, for those of us who are in North America, 6 p.m. Eastern time. So that is New York, Toronto, etc. 5 p.m. Central time, which is Chicago, etc. 4 p.m. Mountain time, which is Calgary, Edmonton, and other mountain time. And 3 p.m. Pacific time, which is California. So please join us. We will try to share some more rasa as per our ability. So Prabhupada mentions devotional service that is mixed with non-Vedic speculative knowledge is certainly not pure devotional service. So which is known as Mishra Bhakti. Mishra means mixed. Therefore, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur in his Anubhashya, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada has written many books, and one of them is known as Anubhashya. Anubhashya means very minutely he has given commentaries. And in the Anubhashya, he preaches that self-realization following the execution of ritualistic ceremonies in the neutral stage between liberation and conditioned life. So basically, it is nothing to do with pure bhakti. It is a place beyond this material world in the river Viraja. So here, Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is talking about Viraj. Viraj is the ocean or the river that lies between the material worlds and the beginning of the spiritual world. So, just to give you all an idea, 25%, if I have this as 100%, and where my finger is, right here, this finger, which I'm tapping, if that is 25% of this particular area, 75% is spiritual. Now, between the spiritual and this material area, there is a Viraja or Karana Udaka Shahi Jal, where Lord Mahavishnu, he reclines. So Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada is saying that in the river Viraja, where three modes of material nature are subdued or neutralized. So one jiva, when he goes through the purificatory process from Tamogun, Rajogun, Satogun, then he gets the opportunity due to the strength of some of the heavy Satogun to enter into the Viraja. And what does Viraja do? Or that Karana Udaksha Jal, or that ocean, or the Karan ocean, where Lord Mahavishnu reclines, it absolves even the little bit of Satogun that is left. It is like the last litmus test that the jiva has to go through before it can enter from the material world into the spiritual world. Because anybody entering the spiritual world does not have these three gunas. They cannot have tamogun, they cannot have rajogun, and they cannot even have satogun, not even an iota. So Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is clearly saying that it is subdued or neutralized in the unmanifest stage. However, the spiritual world is a manifestation of spiritual energy and is known as Vaikuntha Loka, the place where there is no anxiety. We have discussed that many times, the meaning of the word Vaikuntha. Vai in Sanskrit means no, nahi in Hindi. A kuntha means chinta or anxiety. So the land or the place where there is no anxiety, this is the land of anxiety known as Kuntha Jagat. Because in Kuntha Jagat, there is Janam, there is Mrityu, there is old age, there is disease, and so many other problems. Padam Padam Vipadam Tesha. Every step of the way, there is a problem. Right now we are seeing the problem that is facing the globe. Globally speaking, the prices at the petrol pump are going skyrocketing. The grocery stores, the prices of the fruits and vegetables have doubled. Everything. Why? Because of the aggression and the war that is going on between Russia and Ukraine. Actually speaking, that's got nothing to do. But there is vipadam. Vipadam means there are opportunities. People, those who are playing, the big players in the stock market, those market makers, they're taking full advantage of the innocent people. All those politicians, including President Biden and all these, including the Saudi princes and all those people, they are all united together to raise the prices of the oil so that they can fill their coffers. Because slowly and surely they know that the petroleum will be eliminated due to the EV cars, the electric vehicles that are under development. Right now, the demand is so high. I've heard that even if you need to book a Tesla, you have to wait 1 year to get the most basic model. You have to give them the advance money, and then you get, even now, even a basic car, even a petrol driven car in Canada and USA, you have to wait 4 to 6 months. All this is artificially inflated. That is it is simply nuisance that has been artificially created by human beings. And who is suffering the most? The common people. The common people. We've never seen such prices. $2 a liter in Canada. I've not seen that. When I was in the US, I've paid 69 cents a gallon, which is almost 4 liters. And when I first came to Canada, I remember it was like 79 cents a liter. That was over 11 years ago. But total in North America, I've lived over 35 years. And my experience has been that once the prices go up, even in India, we see they hardly come down because the politicians want that the coffers be filled. So this is padam padam vipadam, just not janma mrityu jaravyadi. In between, there are so many things in this material world that will only bring us suffering. There's nothing but. So our Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada is saying that between the two creations, the material creation, the spiritual creation, the river known as Viraja, as well as the place known as Brahmaloka, which is the bottom, at the bottom of Viraja Nadi, and Brahmaloka are shelters for living entities disgusted with material life. Wow, that is so amazing. And inclined to impersonal existence by way of denying material variegatedness. So basically, somehow or the other, so this is a very important point. Again, I would appreciate it that all of you take deep interest in listening to this. So for example, when a jiva goes through the purificatory process from tamogun to rajo to satogun, and they have even gotten to the higher planetary systems or the upper heavenly planets. So the 6 upper heavenly planets we all know: Bhur, Bhuva, Swaha, Tapa, Janam, Mahar, Tapa, and Satya. Satyalok is also known as Brahmaloka. Now, to reach Brahmaloka is extremely difficult. One has to be on a very, very, very extremely excruciating high level of Satogun to reach there, or to even become Lord Brahma. But in spite of that, because that Satogun has that element of enjoyment, to become a bhokta, because of that, that frustration is created. And even though they make it to the Viraja, which is just above Brahmaloka or Satyaloka, there is some subduing, or even it even probably absorbs everything. But then, because pure devotional service was not a part of their creation while they were in the material world, they still have that tinge of enjoyment, and they're disgusted because of material life. They want now mukti, which is known as the impersonal existence. Please try to understand. So those persons who are in that region, they are just tired. They don't want to come back to the material world. They don't want to involve themselves, or they do not want to be permeated with tamogun, rajagun, or satogun, because they know that they have understood that much, that it is the cause of suffering. So what do they want is they want moksha. And that moksha is to merge into the effulgence of the bright, undifferentiated Brahma Jyoti, which is bereft of Tamogun, Rajogun, and Satogun, because Brahma Jyoti is right above the Viraj river. So Viraj river is here, where Mahavishnu ji reclines. Above that is the Brahma Jyoti layer. And below that is the last Swarga, known as the Brahma Loka. And once we cross the Brahma Jyoti, then actual Vaikuntha begins. So once you are in, once one who has entered Vaikuntha, there is no impurities. It's only pure Shuddha Sattva, not even Satogun. So here Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Prabhupada is explaining, since these places are not situated in the Vaikuntha Lokas or the spiritual world, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proclaims them to be external. See how meticulous this is, how scientific. Most of us, when we grow up, we have been, even today in India, 99% of the people, they always talked about punya karma. The famous poet, Vaishnava poet, Narsi Mehta, the great devotee of Lord Krishna, he has composed this wonderful bhajan. Some of you are attending the Gujarati Bhagavad Katha. I sing that. And in the very first, he says, Bhutad Bhakti Padarth Motu Brahma Lokama Nahi Re Punya Kariyam Ravati Pamya Ante Chorasi Mahire Bhutad Bhakti Padarth Motu Harina Janato Mukti Namange Janama Janama Yavatare Nitya Kirtana Nitya Ochava Nitya Kirtana Nitya Ochava Nirakhva Nandaku Marare Bhutad Bhakti Padarth Motu. The pure acharyas, they say, they will never differ in their message. Bhutad Bhakti Padarth Motu. The kind of bhakti that can be obtained on this earthly planet, it is considered the highest bhakti can be obtained. Punya Kari Amravati Pamya. Even if you perform a lot of piety, punya karma, in the mode of goodness, satogun, Amravati Pamya, then you can get Amravati. Amravati is the capital of the third Swarga, where Lord Indra resides, along with Brihaspati and many other Devi Devatas, and a lot of Punya Atma souls. So there they get a lot of relaxation, they get a lot of Vaibhav, they get a lot of opulence, they get a lot of luxuries. And it is said the third Swarga, where Lord Indra resides, the average lifespan is 40,000 earthly years. So, but Narsi Mehta is saying Punya Kari Amravati Pamya. So not any particular ordinary section of the third Swarga, but in Amravati, the capital. Just like somebody is living in a village in India, and if they ask, oh, where does your husband work? So that woman with a lot of pride will say, or that woman about her son, ओ मेरा बेटा तो मुंबई में काम करता है, कोलकाता में काम करता है, दिल्ली में काम करता है, अहमदाबाद में काम करता है, बड़ी बड़ी सिटी का नाम. Because they are the villages, to reside in the big city and get a job there is considered great. So those who have got some good piety, then they are given entrance into the capital city. Just like, the capital of US is Washington, D.C. or Delhi. These are all big metropolitan cities where there is a lot of more comforts, right from the hospitals to the cabs, to the eating and sleeping and all kinds of arrangements. In a major metropolis, there is more luxury. So Narsi Mehta is saying that's okay. Punya Kari Amravati Pamya. Ante Chorasi Maire. But then you have to come back to this material world in the Chorasi Lakh Yoni. Chorasi Mahire. 8,400,000 species of life, one will have to come back and take birth again. And then he's saying, but what about the Vaishnavas? He's saying Harinajan. Harinajan means Vaishnavas, not the untouchables that the so-called some class of people have labeled. Hari means Krishna. Very simple. Jan means Vaishnavas. Those who worship Krishna are Harijans. So Harina Janto Mukti na mange. The Vaishnavas never ask for mukti, liberation. Coming back to this point, there is a connection here. Because those who ask mukti are those people who are frustrated with their existence in the material world for many, many births. But a Vaishnava is not frustrated. Swargeshu, Narkeshu, Apavargeshu, Samatulya Darshana. Whether he's in Swarg, whether he's in Nark, whether he's in Apavarga. Apavarga means Vaikuntha planets. Samatulya Darshana. Because he's always Harina Janto Mukti na mange Janama Janama Avatar Re. Birth after birth, they always desire, wherever you want, oh Krishna, I'm ready to take birth. You want me to be born on the earthly planet again? No problem. For your pleasure, I will do that. But what will I do? Nitya Kirtan, Nitya Ochav. Nirakhva Nanda Kumari. That is the activity of a Vaishnava. Nitya Kirtan, always chanting the holy names of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Or some kind of Kirtan, Bhajan. Nitya Kirtan. Whether working, sleeping, getting up, going on the bus, wherever, some kind of Kirti of Krishna, of the Supreme Lord, is always there in their hearts, in their minds. Nitya Kirtan, Nitya Ochav. Ochav means feasting and festivals. Every day for a Vaishnava, when you wake up, it's a festival. Krishna, you are so kind. That I did not die in my sleep. Perhaps I was not thinking of you, but now I have woken up. My activities will start by chanting your names, with your puja part, by reading Bhagavad, etc., by conversing with Vaishnavas. So all my activities. So that is Ochav. Ochav. And Ochav also means very special day. So this Thursday is the Ochav of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Means the appearance. Ochav means a festival. Whenever there is a reason to celebrate. So it is a celebrate when Srila Prabhupada's appearance. In Gujarati, it is called Ochav. It's Prabhupada's Ochav. In Bengali or in Sanskrit, it is called Abirbhav. So similarly, Ochav means, like Prabhupada said, Krishna consciousness is what? Is all about feasting. Every day is a feast for us. Every day is a party. True or not? If we really examine, so when there is a party, everybody is happy. From our material experience, we see that. But even from our spiritual experience, we see the moment Kirtan is started and our moods change. We feel so good. We feel so happy. We feel that bliss. So Brahmalok, then these are shelters for those living entities, disgusted with material life and inclined to impersonal existence by way of denying material variegatedness. Since these places are not situated in the Vaikuntha Lokas or the spiritual world, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu proclaims them to be external. In the Brahmalok and Virajnadi, one cannot conceive of the Vaikuntha Lokas. Brahmalok and Virajnadi are also attained after difficult austerities. But in these realms, there is no understanding of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there they will not get darshan of the Lord, that how beautiful Krishna is. Barhavatam Samasitam, he is so pretty. Got a, what is that? Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Sobham Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Venu Korantam Arvindam Dalayataksham Barhavatam Samasitam Buddha Sundarangam Kandarpakoti Kamaniya Vishesha Sobham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Alol Chandra Lasad Vanmalya Vamsi Ratnangada Pranaya Keli Kalavilasam Shamam Trimangal Lalitam Niyata Prakasham Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. The description of Krishna, how beautiful is that he's got a beautiful peacock feather, he's got this beautiful pitambar, he's got all this beautiful enchanting movements that even enchants the Cupid or Kamdev. So like this, so many wonderful descriptions are given, fully permeated, especially the Rasik Vaishnavas. They describe the beauty of Krishna, but they cannot see that. Forget the beauty of Krishna, they cannot even see the beauty of the residents of the Vaikuntha Lokas. So without such spiritual knowledge, simple detachment from material conditions is but another side of material existence. Wow. So beautiful. I feel like reading this again and again. And let us all absorb this sentence. What Srila Prabhupada has said. Without such spiritual knowledge, which is bhakti, simple detachment for material conditions. So even the Mayavadis, they're detached. The Brahmavadis are detached. We find there are so many institutions where they wear, even in the Jain Sampradaya, we find that they are very austere. They wear the white clothes, they beg alms, etc. And we find that there are those Brahma Kumaris and all those austerity performed, the sannyasis who perform austerities by bhiksha, even in the Belur Mat, Ramakrishna Mission, etc. But according to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, according to our Gaudiya Vaishnavas, without such spiritual knowledge of Vaikuntha, because they do not have the concept of Vaikuntha, they have already merged into the Brahman, and Vaikuntha is beyond Brahman. So they don't even believe, they don't want to hear, and they don't want to even hear the fact that the Supreme Lord is a person. Aham Brahmasmi. That is their philosophy. I am He. Satchitananda Rupam Shivo Aham. Shivo Aham. So Aham. So Aham. I am God. So without that real spiritual knowledge, the Prabhupada is saying, simply by detachment from material conditions. So some of these sadhus in this non-Vaishnava sampradayas, they are also detached. We find that they wear the saffron clothes, they go out with a begging bowl, alakh niranjan, they go, and then they Om Namo Narayana, they even say all these things, but internally they don't believe in Narayan. So from the spiritual point of view, Srila Prabhupada says, it is all external. It is all external. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu rejected this proposal, Rayaramananda suggested that devotional service based on philosophy and logic is more advanced position. He therefore quoted this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, which we will do next Sunday. So what a beautiful, if one understands this chapter between Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rayaramananda, believe it or not, we would have got the sweetest of the sweetest essence of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's life and the purpose, why he came and what he's giving us and what will be our goal. Right now, we have certain aspirations, just like when we're asking a 3-year-old child, Beta, what would you like to become when you grow up? I want to become a doctor. And then somebody says, I want to be, another child, I want to become a police inspector. But as they grow up, they go through the stages of schooling, then their aspirations change. They change for the better most of the time. So similarly, right now we are in a very low stage of bhakti. And as we hear such rasik katha directly from the mouth of the most magnanimous personality, Audharya Avatar Sri Mahaprabhu, and his own most intimate associate, Rayaramananda, Vishaka Saki, there's nothing beyond us, my dear devotees. There's nothing beyond. Sri Prabhupada has given this. People say, where has Prabhupada given this? Many people ask me when I speak Katha, where do you think I'm getting all this? Right now in front of you, I'm reading purports and purports of Srila Prabhupada. So this is because they don't want to read. And when they have not heard these things, they think that this guy is bluffing. Many people have challenged me that where did you find this? Where is it said that Mother Yashoda gave birth to two, one baby girl and to Krishna? And this is so-called a big Bhakti Vriks leader giving lectures on the Vyasasan. We have never heard that. Well, it is not my fault that you have not heard it. Have you had that pure desire within your heart without pratishtha? Then Krishna will make those arrangements to hear such esoteric subject matters. It is not meant for all ears. So, the Prabhupada is full of rasa. Full of rasa. What Rup Goswami is, Sanatan Goswami is, Jiva Goswami is, Raghunath Das Goswami is, Raghunath Bhatta Goswami, Gopal Bhatta Goswami, Srila Prabhupada has given us everything on a simple platter. Jai Shri Gaura Hari, Jai Shri Gaura Hari. Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol, Jai Shri Prabhupada, Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol. So, Hare Krishna. We had a wonderful treat today. At least I felt great, wonderful, just narrating these wonderful pastimes of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Rayaramanada, and we will continue until this chapter finishes, no matter how many weeks it takes. So now, if any devotee